Really?
It was live streamed, got it. Mr. Electronics.
Greg.
Greg, thank you. I should write these names down before we start a meeting. Greg will be joining us as he's having IT issues, and he expressed his frustrations over email. But we can call in using a phone line, can't we, Lynette, to the Zoom call? I know Zoom can do that. So, have we heard
David,
from Riwi? Yes?
Yeah, David Riwi is asking for someone to send him a link.
Sure, we can do that. Happens in my other Zoom calls too.
Has he not got the email, obviously?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Often what happens is people lose the emails because they, into their system because it's sent out in advance. So I've just resent it.
Oh, you sent it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've just resent it. Okay, apology. I move that the apologies of Red be accepted. Can I have a seconder?
Yep.
Thank you. And all in favour, wave and smile. Yes, cool. That's easy passed. Oh, and a couple of things before we were going to officially start. I do believe, Lynette, will be your last time as secretary for us.
This is my last meeting for Waikato District Council.
Oh.
Well, thank you
going
very
to?
much.
I'm retiring.
Oh, you're on the pension. I thought you were.
No, I'm not on the pension.
Good for you, Dole.
Sure beats working.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. Well, I hope the last meeting for you is a enjoyable one and not particularly memorable, because that means there was nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Lynette. You have a good break, mate.
I will, thank you.
So thank you very much for the support you've been for the Huntly Community Board, and I know you've been very supportive of myself as I've blundered my way through the proceedings. So thank you, and I do really appreciate it.
You're almost welcome.
We will miss you, Lynette. You have been really good,
Oh, thank you.
Confirmation of the status agenda. I don't have any changes. Does anyone have any changes or anything they want to add? No. Okay, cool. I'll move that we confirm the status of the agenda. Can I have a seconder, please?
Take your pick.
Eden, sorry, I have to switch between the PDF and things. Thank you, Eden, for seconding it. All in favour, wave your hand. Yep, cool. Passed. Okay, disclosures of interest. We have any disclosures of interest today? No.
No.
Excellent. Confirmation of the minutes held on Tuesday, the 2nd of November. I'm happy to move that those minutes are a true and accurate record. Can I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Shelley. All in favour, please raise your hand. Smile. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, reports. So Sean was going to be here tonight. So I'm not too sure what's happened there, but I'll give you an update. So Joanna has been seconded across into COVID border duties, and I don't know how long that will be going on for. And so she's been replaced by Sean Walters, who's the constable there. And she, I've had a meeting with her to talk about, and I don't know what the technical noun is, but I would call it loosely restorative justice, that instead of going through the courts, people can go do community service or work in the community instead, so hopefully have better long-term outcomes. So there's systems in place already for doing that with the 2 local community gardens. However, if someone's caught tagging, it doesn't quite seem a good fit that they do gardening when they've been doing tagging. And so she's asked if I'm prepared to work with those taggers to have them do so many hours of community service painting out tags. Which I'm happy to do. So if anyone else has, yeah, I'll get to you in a minute, Shelley. If anyone else has any community service type roles they can do, she would be very keen to hear from those. Obviously, it needs to be highly supervised and needs to be appropriate, but could definitely benefit some of the youth. Shelley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I just ask, is this part of the youth justice system from the Waihi Marae, or is this adults?
That's a good question. If my understanding is correct, and I don't claim to know everything, I don't think it is part of the youth justice system through the marae, but I could be wrong, and I don't think they are adults, but the other option is that they go to court. So that tells me that they are adults, because only adults can go to court, or do youth go to
No,
court?
well, so they have a choice of going to court or being judged by their peers at Waihi Marae.
Yeah.
So that's a different setup, and it's more for youth. So
No.
I'm guessing there would be different rules for the two different systems, is what I'm saying.
Right. I got the impression that this was not through a alternative supplier, for want of a better word there. So it was through this traditional court system, and not through one of the associated justice systems. If that makes sense. But
I'd
I'm
clarify it if I was you, David. Just so you know what ages you're dealing with.
Like pay per.
Yeah.
So will you be doing this privately or as the chair of the community board?
That's a loaded question, Shelley. Why do you ask that?
Because it's a loaded question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I know. I can see you going somewhere.
Yeah, sorry, I would like you to be as safe as possible, but
Yes.
you need to be clear on who you're representing if you're going to fulfill this role.
Right.
What's
Eden?
what's the risk of what is the risk? Is there
Well, I don't know what the risks are, Eden, but what I'm saying is if David is the chair of the community board, that's one role. And if you're doing this service, I'm not sure that it would be a good fit. I'm not sure how it would work, David.
Okay.
I just think you would need to sort of clarify things a little bit better. So you've just said, did anyone else on the community board want to be a part of this? Is that what you said?
If they have and I was thinking more along the lines of Red, actually, because he may have some contacts in the ditch digging,
Yeah.
the more general labouring kind of role. So not so much being a part of the anti-tag team, but if they have contacts that they can do meaningful community service that is somewhat simple and can be highly supervised, then Sean would be very interested in hearing from anyone in the community who has that.
I think you just need a little bit more. I believe you need a little bit more clarity on what this role involves,
Okay.
and what you have to provide, or what the person who they're going to take the tagging out of, what they have to supply.
I know they've basically got to turn up, and they've got to turn up within so many hours within a set time frame. And if they don't, they go to court.
So the job that they're going to do, for example, if it's tagging, take out tagging. So when they arrive to take the tagging out, is there a toilet supplied? Are they able to have morning tea? Are they supervised by the probation services, or are they supervised by the person who's got the tagging? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll have another discussion with Sean
Yeah,
around some of the finer details. We've kind of
good
had
idea.
a discussion, so that's fine. And I think I'll do it under. Well, see, this gets a wee bit messy because I have been thinking through some of this. Like, for example, we can't paint out the tags next to the train track because the risks be considered too high. So I will need to have a discussion around what's an appropriate, I guess, risk, because doing anything has a risk. And railway systems are going to be too high a risk, I suspect.
I was hoping the police would be here tonight because there's been an increase in motorbikes racing around Huntly, and I know the police are aware of it, but I'm getting quite a few complaints from people, and even out here at Puketerini, there's 8 bikes at any one time racing around with young children on them. Yeah, it is a bit scary.
I've raised that via email to Sean, just saying that'll be one of the things that comes up tonight.
Okay.
I'm aware that they're doing it without any face coverings now and without any helmets, so the cameras should be picking them up because they do go along Harris Street and they do go through and around the hub, which has got camera, the Bridge Street there.
Yeah.
So I was hoping she would be able to do some of that. Should I give you her phone number so you can call her, and then I can call her too, and so we can.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, David. Yeah, just
Okay,
text it to me if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
They have been quite proactive because I'm aware that there's been some search and seize warrants issued recently. So
Excellent.
hopefully some of them have been picked up, Shelley.
That'd
Yeah.
be great.
Mm.
But they weren't picked up on Sunday.
Pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just going to ask, with the railway track tags, haven't they been closing down the railway line for maintenance on Sundays?
Yes, they have.
If someone was to paint out stuff, then they would be doing it on a Sunday. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Just-
community service is only on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
And the community board service is on a Saturday.
Yeah, I never paint out graffiti on a Sunday. No, that wasn't
Wait a minute,
me.
I don't like where you're going, Eden.
Okay. I'm just going through into the right page. Discretionary funding report on page 16 for those who are going through it on PDF. I did notice that and maybe this is where I don't quite understand how things work. The Revitalised 2 Huntly entrance signs has an entry in the ledger for $5,000, but then at the top has under expenditure has the actual amount of 2,695.
Yeah, because we put 5,000 aside 2 years ago, probably.
Yep, it was.
So you've come under budget. That's great.
So does that mean the $5,000? To me, it's still as a commitment. So we've still got $5,000 committed there, but to me, it should be either removed to
Or
zero
I can
because
do
we've spent it,
more.
or there is more available
Yeah.
for Eden.
Surely there's the difference that's left out of the 5,000.
Yes, yeah,
That
Do you
would be them.
yeah. Do you understand what I'm commenting, Lynette, around that?
Sorry. Do you want me to return it to the pool, or do you want me to just, how are you wanting to do this?
So we've got the 5,000 set aside. We've spent 2,695, and so therefore there's the remainder of whatever
Well,
is
there's,
left in there.
there's the cost of the Prezi cards as well. So it was 2,948. Is the cost of the but the $500 prize is on there? It's not on there.
It
As
goes
well?
back into the pool, any money left over.
So we need to check out the prize money
The total cost. Yep.
to make sure it's been paid out.
Yep.
Okay.
So Eden, if you can check to make sure everything's been included, and then that total amount we will take off the 5,000.
And you want the rest returned to the pool?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what normally happens. It goes back into the pool.
What do other
It's only
people?
an estimate.
What do other people think?
So if you return it to the pool and you have another project that comes up, it's easy to commit some more money if you want to, or
Yes.
spend more money. It's only just meaning that you just putting it into the right place, so you've got a total at the bottom that's showing how much you've actually got to spend. That's all
Seems
it's
good.
doing.
Seems good to me. Do we have a head nod from Eden? Shelley, Kim, Freeway?
Yep,
Yep, okay.
yep.
Yep. Return it to the
Okay.
pool then. Cool. Any other questions around that? No, okay, we'll move on. I notice, you'll notice in my chair report, hopefully, that I'm indicating that we should allocate $20,000 to a barbecue. That's what I'm suggesting. So we'll discuss that in the chair report.
We do have a
Works.
limit on spending, and 20,000's out of the question. It's $5,000 limit as far as I know.
Well, don't we
That's-
have more ability to make decisions based on that? Isn't that the new process around that?
Yes, and the $5,000 limit is only when we're funding applications for people, who come in and say, can we please have some money? So if someone had come in and said, can we please have some money for a barbecue table, we could only fund them previously, and I don't know about the new rules, up to 5,000, whereas internally we can fund whatever we want.
Yeah, they haven't come in yet.
Within reason.
Oh, well, within
Wouldn't
reason. I
hold
mean,
my breath on that one.
we've still got to discuss it, but it's on the table just so people are aware of that.
The expectation is that we spend it though.
Moving on, because we're going to discuss it.
Yeah. Works and issues. Okay. There's an update for the fitness trail. Don't need to cover that unless someone's got a question. Streetlight service requests. Greg's not here, so he can't give an update. There's an update for the overhanging trees there. The update for the walkway closure, I talked to Kim today. So there's two processes that run in parallel there for closing the walkway on Huntley West between Semple and whatever the street is. So one is the physical closure and one is the closure on paper. The closure on paper will take a while because of staff changes in the
Property team.
thank you, in the properties team. They would like to know from us, from a practical point of view, what we would like to do with the closure. Do we want a fence across in the middle? Do we want a fence across at both ends? Or do we want a heavily restricted walkway so no motorbikes can go through, but still allow pedestrians to go through?
It's got to be shut down full stop. You can't just shut off a motorbike. You're stopping prams and mobility scooters then. Shut the whole lot off. Take the
Shelley?
fence down.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm quite happy to
you were
maintain an extra
talking-
strip.
I'm sorry, Frank. Did you have your hand up? I might have missed it.
Yeah, I was speaking.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. So when you said in the middle, so they would contemplate putting a wall up in the middle of the walkway.
Yes.
So it would just be mowed by council in the middle bit and on the other side. Is that what it means by, because we haven't got another walkway that's like that. We've only got walkways that were closed off at each end. And so then we had the hassle of rubbish being thrown in and grass growing. So are property now saying that we could have a fence just across the middle, blocked off?
Across the middle, as in you're walking, you can't walk through because there's a block in the middle.
Yeah.
And then through. Yes, that is an option.
Because then council, then council would still have the chance to mow that, to keep those other two ends tidy, because it's always been the problem of keeping the middle tidy. That's not a bad option. It closes it off completely, but the two ends you'd be able to see in.
Yeah, you would.
I think that's
Shut
quite
it
a
off
good
completely.
proposition.
It's the only way.
Kim, have your
There's one
thoughts?
over Huntley West being shut off completely under the table. Very prominent family, shut it off. They maintain it. The matter of shut it off both ends, take the fence down. The property owners are quite happy to keep that strip mowed.
Okay, that's an option. Yep, Kim,
You
what are your
can't,
thoughts?
you can't do that legally, sorry.
You know,
Do what you can.
I guess you have to take into account the way the people in those streets live. I mean, if nobody has a car and they walk everywhere, you're cutting off their ability to access. You know, I mean, you have to, if there's black and white, cut it off and don't worry about it. It's a little bit harsh. I mean, you've got to know. I get that it's easier and it's cheaper and all the rest of it, but is it contributing to the quality of life of those residents?
I suggest you
don't
drive
think-
over and have a look at that street and the street behind it. They own multiple cars. There's no shortage of cars. If they ain't got one, they're normally going to steal one anyway. So what the hell?
Well,
I think Kim, you
Generalised.
make a good point, Kim. But in Huntley East, when we cut off the walkways, it was to stop the kids who were cutting through using the walkways, and they were causing destruction and swearing and alcohol abuse. So they just had to walk around. It doesn't cut off their access. It just means they've got to walk a tiny bit further.
And that
But the motorbikes, sorry, David. It's the people who live on the side. It's them who want to have them closed off. It's the people who actually live there, and the motorbikes rip through there as well.
The police are right behind shutting all walkways.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah. Eden, your thoughts about either at the end or in the middle?
I mean, if it has to be done, you already know my thoughts on closing the middle, but if it has to be done, then in the middle, because it's already an eyesore from both. Like, have you had a look at the current ones right now that are closed, Frank, at both ends? Because they're disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. And they are overgrown, they're full of rubbish, or they've been taken over by the property owners either side, which becomes a legal issue for council as well. So I think in the middle, at least then if on paper they become, ceded to either side property, then it's just a simple
Move the fence.
move the fence into them in parallel or like through the middle long ways. But I think at each end, even if they just like sprayed it out so it doesn't have to eventually be mowed and everything like that, like if they're gonna do it, then do it right so that it's not gonna be an absolute eyesore. Yeah, that's my thought. I mean, I echo what Kim's saying, and I've said it before, but it sounds like it's already a done deal. So,
Yeah. Rui, do you have any thoughts?
I suggest you meet with the property occupiers on both sides of that walkway and talk to them about it.
That's what I
would
do. Both streets. Talk to them.
Yeah. I mean, I know they want it blocked off.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
We have done.
have we found out who uses them other than motorbike users?
If you do that and you document it, you've shown consultation in the truest sense of the word, not just, well, I know they do. Well, let's get a little bit of evidence to say they do. That would be a 5-minute thing in reality.
We have been approached by some of the property owners who want to close the walkways off and incorporate the walkways into their own sections. But then you come into the hassle of who owns what property. And it got stretched out like for 5 years. I think council were sort of dealing with it, Kim. It became quite a nightmare. And because it was Crown land, it turned into a bit of I thought it was a good solution that if they had the walkways closed off and those four properties, if it was 4 properties or 2 properties, decided amongst themselves who would incorporate it, but you couldn't work it out that way. It had to be done legally, and it just, like I say, it dragged on for 5 years. Barry Maipi tried really hard offering to buy it, to pay for it, but it became very, very complicated. So it's not a 5-minute conversation.
Right.
Let's talk to the people involved.
Okay, so I'll talk to the people involved. I will document that, and recommendation going forward would be in the middle. Then there's a preference that one in the middle so that there's transparency so people can see who's jumping the rubbish and you don't get weeds growing and you don't get nappies thrown over the fence, or at least reduce the probability of nappies coming being dumped.
Yep.
The next update, the cleaning of the closed walkways in Huntly is ongoing. I talked to Kim. They've done some work in there. They've put in rat traps. They've cleaned out rubbish, and they were doing something to try and make it less likely things would regrow, but I can't remember what she told me, but it made sense to me. So they are looking at those and they're progressing on those, which is good. In-ground garden lights. I contacted the council because they had got some of them working. This is in the main street, and I said, "This is exciting news. You've got some of them working. How about the other 2/3?" And they said, "What other 2/3?" And so I met Cushman and Wakefield on site with my map of where everything was, and we did a street walk, and I've noticed they've been on during the day and someone's been fixing them. So hopefully maybe by the end of December they'll all be fixed. I suspect it's going to take a bit more work than they thought, but that's very pleasing. I'm looking forward to them being done. Willow Lake, I'm meeting the guy in January on site. Huntly West Sports Complex graffiti, I will look at that once I've done the 3 murals that I'm supposed to be working on currently with the Art Centre, so that can be pushed off till probably May next year. Hakamarata sign, I see there's an update there, so that's going, that's a no breaking. Oh, and street and gutter cleaning. So in theory, the street cleaner is coming through Huntly this month. It's just done Ohiniwai, and I did an inspection of Ohiniwai, and I said, you've missed half the streets. So they came back and did the other half. And before they could complete that, the machine broke. And so that's being fixed. So hopefully once that is done, it will be in Huntly. So I would ask people, please keep an eye out. And if you see, the thing to bear in mind, if there's been a car park there and the machine's gone through, obviously you can't clean that part of the gutter. But if there's streets that have had build up, like if, you know how the silt flows to the low point in the street, if the silt's still there after the machine's gone through, then we need to raise it as a quality control issue, or streets that have been missed completely, which I think's been happening. So I've got a few things I want to check to make sure they're actually done. So while you're out and about in December, once the machine's gone through, that'll be really good to get the feedback all into the council and make sure that the job's been done properly and all the streets have been done.
Have they already started, or?
I thought they would have, but I don't know is the answer, because I haven't had obviously can't look at all the streets, but with the machine being broken, the odds are I don't think they've started.
I just thought you've got a really good social media presence that if you knew some specific dates, I reckon you could convince most people to park off the road that day or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
I'll ask for a date range if they've got one.
Good idea, Eden. Well done.
Yeah, who would have thought David has got a better social media presence than me?
That's so you, Eden.
I don't think that's very fair, David. You back off.
No, he can have it. He can have it. Can you take up the community board page as well, please?
I'll pass on that one. That's all good. I'm still in discussion with, so I put my grumpy pants on and sent off an email with photos saying the overmatching is not good enough. As it turns out, the same day I sent off that email, City Care called me, and we actually went through all the jobs that I'd raised with City Care over the last couple of weeks, and we talked about the ones that I had seen that had been done, and all the jobs that I had seen had been done really well. So City Care's obviously got the paint matching sorted. They've got their cleaning system sorted, and the response time pretty good. So I'm very pleased with that. And Directions New Zealand has been very good as well. They've been very responsive, and I often get calls saying, I can't do it until this day, which is like 3 days away. And you're thinking, this is good. Anytime this week's fine. And he's also done more than just, like, I might say the front of the sign needs cleaning, but he'll also check the back, because he does a good job. So that's been fantastic. So after I didn't get a response about about the lack of colour matching on the solid objects, I did actually send that through to Roger, and then Roger got back to me and said, yeah, we'll get onto it. And so I've been in conversation with the contractor, the Alliance, and hopefully we might see better colour matching. After that conversation happened, we ended up with the grey purple, which I actually really like the colour, down at the rail underpass on Main Street. And that's the 5th new colour in that area. So I don't know if they're going to turn the whole area that colour, or they've just introduced another colour. So I'll continue to beat that drum until they actually get a colour match system. Yep, Frank? That's it.
Well, I'm quite happy volunteering with services for colour matching. Believe it or not, I'm probably one of the top 5 in New Zealand doing it. All I need is 5 different colours and I'll make what you want. Quite happily liaise with the clowns that are doing it. I can make most colours. 5 base tinters, I'll match it up. Robert Thurston didn't have a problem doing it when he was doing it.
And it drives me a bit potty, because you'd think if you're doing it regularly, you'd have
I saw some of it. 90% of it will wash off. They slap paint over it. It'll wash off. Robert Thurston had it down to fine art. He'd call him to work every morning, away we'd go. Volunteering with services to match it up for them.
I will pass that on. No, I'd be excited if they just had standard colours they use. Anyway, potholes, I'm pleased to see that WDA is pricing up the work on the pedestrians, because that's urgent work.
Eden, David.
Thank you. Yep.
Sorry, I was just going to add in there. It's not as relevant, but the welcome sign got graffitied, and then in the morning or overnight, in the morning I got a notification, then it went up on Facebook, and then AJ and Sign Print went out there off their own bat and cleaned it before the afternoon. And she emailed me, and I emailed her back, and I was like, is this a perk, or do we owe you some money? And she was like, it's a perk, because we're really proud of our work. So yeah, as soon as they hear of anything, like they were grateful for Facebook, they'll go straight out there and clean it, because then it saves all the trouble later on. Yeah, so
it's fabulous.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I've started to get offers of help for tagging out, so I'm thinking through the process of how do I supply the key colours that I use. So I have a standard rail. I have the white, grey, green and brown, and anything that doesn't fit those standards, then I'll actually get a colour match done and just, or choose a test pot and it's close enough. So I'm just thinking through how we can supply the standard colours and brushes and get other people doing the same thing. So,
Even if people could donate paint they've finished using, eh?
yeah, and I got a call from a lady who owns, and again, sorry, I don't have the name written down, who now owns the storage place. I think it's the red storage place next to Huntley Honda, in that opposite the mobile there, saying that she had a when you don't pay your money on one of those units, and so there's a stack of paint left, so it's coming my way, which is really cool. So
Nice.
that is nice. Future proof, that can come off the to-do list. Tennis court renewal, that can stay on. Tainui Bridge. For those who didn't see the update I put to Facebook, the bridge is made of metal. Metal expands and contracts. So the bridge actually sits on rollers that roll backwards and forwards as the bridge expands and contracts. So they're roller bearings. They're the bits that have failed or are in risk of failing underneath. And the council are working from the bottom up on those, and the budgets had to go from 250,000 to 750,000. And so they're spending that money. We're not going to really notice any difference from the top now, which is good, going forward, which is fantastic. But it is good to know that they're spending unbudgeted. They've got to pull that from somewhere else. So basically some other project's been hit because it's got to be spent on our bridge. So
Yeah, but those two awful plates have gone. They were an absolute nightmare. I mean, they had big steel bits sticking up. I mean, I don't know how many tyres and rims they would have wrecked, honestly. So I'm so glad they're gone.
But
Yeah.
that bridge was never built for 50-ton trucks. And now they've got however many, David, going
Good
across
point.
Tainui Bridge. The bridge was never built for that.
Exactly.
It was never built to
The
support
bridge
it.
was upgraded for
But
400
those-
tonne.
But those two plates that have the ball bearings inside, some of them didn't have the ball bearings inside them.
yeah,
That was a bit of a shock.
bit of a worry.
Hmm.
Need another bridge.
Yeah, I'll work on that project next year. Yeah,
North end of Huntley.
that would be good actually.
Mm.
And thank you. Give our thanks to the folks who've given us an update on the works, please, Vanessa. It's nice to know what's going on.
Yep, absolutely. I've actually got another update as well that's
Yes.
not on there, and that's
Yes.
just around the rural Waru tennis courts are due for an upgrade. So the project team are meeting with the tennis club prior to Christmas break to get over the schedule of works or to go over it, with work on site planned to start end of January.
Where's the Renewal tennis court?
Is that right by the school? Yeah, right next to the school, like, yeah, pretty much touching the school tennis court.
So the school have a tennis court and the community have a tennis court,
Yeah.
Yes.
and they're beside each other.
Yeah.
So they've got quite a passionate crew out there who use the tennis courts a lot, and they take quite good care of them. But now they need a bit of upgrading.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. In terms of bylaws that are out for consultation or stuff from the council that's out for consultation, we need to figure out going forward if we're going to put something in and what we're going to do. So there's the dog bylaw, there's the roading speed limit changes, and then there's the Easter trading policy. I haven't had a chance to have a good look at all three of them, but I have had a brief look at the dog proposal. There's nothing that really jumps out at me as being needing to make comments. I might just basically say we agree. The banned areas come down to encompass from the rail bridge north of the main street, so the main street. And then there's the two standard exercise areas plus the exercise area. Riverview Road on the riverside on that green esplanade, that's actually a dog exercise area that is that on lead? Exercise area? Off lead exercise area.
Hopefully.
Yeah, which people I didn't know about until I read the document. So if people have any, have a read of the documents. If there's any burning issues or any major kind of alarm bells, get in contact with everyone and we can put a submission in. But at this stage, I'm thinking of saying, we agree with the proposal and saying that that's it. Yes, Eden?
I know a significant change that's caused a lot of stir is the change to the rural dogs. At the moment is unlimited amount of dogs per section, but it's going to change to 2 pet dogs, and working dogs are exempt but will require an inspection for permit. Yes, I know that's a big one that's blowing up on Facebook at the moment.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Fortunately, we're not rural, so I don't have to.
Hey, and I own 2 dogs, and I believe you me, I sign a lot of things for the local dog ranging team that are going out and rescuing a lot of poorly neglected, badly looked after dogs. People have got 5 and 6 dogs. They can't afford it. Good God, mine cost me a bloody fortune. So I know how much I spend. And so I'm all for it, mate. I would stand up and defend that to anyone. I'm not getting into it on Facebook, but I have been reading. I even got a petition sent to me because I'm a dog owner. I don't know how they found that out. And I just went, I'm not signing that because I actually think two's enough.
Yeah. And they didn't really explain that if they already have multiple dogs, they'll just need to get an inspection, which last I was told was free and over the next 12 months.
Exactly.
So,
And in essence, the bylaw is trying to control the nuisance dog owners and dogs.
Correct.
You know, and
like the puppy mills and the dog fighting rings and the,
yeah. So, okay. Well, if anything props up, oh, you, Shelley. Sorry, you had your hand up, Shelley.
Yeah, so I can't comment on the bylaws because we'll be sitting on the hearings, but thank you, Kim. The speed limit bylaw, I just want to say that there was a suggestion of a blanket rule of 40 k's everywhere. I didn't think that was a good idea in Huntly because, for example, Hakanoa Street is a very wide street, and I think we're better to keep it at 50 because at 40 people are going to get frustrated and try passing. I think it's an invitation to disaster, but we do need traffic management controls, and I have requested that rather than lowering the speed to 40 in Huntly. Some other towns can't have 50 because their roads are quite narrow and they can control traffic at 40, but in Huntly it's not the same, and I think it would be a recipe for disaster if we lowered it.
I agree, and the traffic one is the one that I would like to make a submission on. I've had a look through the changes, and in essence they're changing around schools to permanent 40, changing the central CBD area to 30, which, you know, if you're doing more than 30 you're nuts anyway. So most of the changes are common sense, but I didn't see in the consultation document, and I went looking for it, that they were going to look at traffic calming measurements for Huntly main thoroughfares.
That's a separate thing. That's not in the bylaw.
Okay.
Yeah, so all they're asking in the bylaw is traffic speeds.
Okay.
That's a separate thing, David.
Okay. Once they've got the maps accurate, because I found 4 errors in the map for Huntly, I will send out the link to folk and say have a look, because one of the interesting things is they were saying East Mine Road should go from 70 to 60, but I wasn't too sure what section they were talking about, and it wasn't obvious, so they need to put that on the map. But all the other things.
Is East
it's
Mine Road
100k.
It's 100k. I'm going to say I just drove it this morning, and I'm thinking, shit, was I 30 over the limit? I thought it was 100k.
Yeah, there are sections that are 70, but they're right at each end. So like I say, I need to see it on the map because otherwise I don't know what we're talking about. So yeah, there's 100k at the moment. So yeah, Eden, or was that the same thing?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, yeah, it's pointless to bring it down to 40 anyway, from like a logistical point of view. We can't even get the police to ping people going over 50, 60, 70. Like, what's, you know, other than law-abiding people will now go slower, what difference is it really going to make? In Huntly, at least.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is the people who are going fast. You know, that's where the complaints come from.
Yeah,
okay, well, I'll put a short.
The rules.
Yeah, once the map gets updated, I will put a very short submission together, and I'll email that out to folks. The submission dates for that, I think, is mid-January off the top of my head, so it's before we meet again, but we do have a lot of time on that one, so not a big deal. So the dog one, unless I hear back, we'll say, yeah, we agree. And the Easter trading, I'm just going to leave that unless, I mean, I passionately think we should not be trading on Easter, because the poor people who are getting minimum wage for standing behind the counter should actually get a holiday every now and then. But that's not a battle that I really want to go in and fight, and I'm just going to let that one do whatever that one does, unless anyone's got objection. No? Okay, cool. Okay, my chairperson's report, I'll take that as read. I put in some East Mine stuff there for red. And the photo, I was really pleased. If you haven't walked across the walking bridge next to the railway line, it's worth going across just to admire the brand new balustrade, I think it might be called, or barrier to stop you falling in the river. It's brand spanking new. It's done in the same design as the Tainui Bridge one, and it looks really good. So I'm really pleased about that. And I finally got a piece of concrete put in on Bridge Street, which I've been working at for 18 months, and it was an easy job. So I don't think how long a hard job will take. So, got to take the wins. So one of the things that was discussed at the workshop we had around Timate Mahuta Drive, was that barbecues, Huntly is the only place without an electric barbecue in the district. And there are 3 logical places you could put a barbecue. One is Torini, one is the reserve there, and then the other one would be Hakanoa. We could put these into our next LTP, which means that they would be at least 4 years away or up to 6 years away. And one way of bringing it forward would be to find other income sources, and one being the community board, and the Tumate. I'm going to have Tumate. Tumate Mahuta Reserve would be a nice neutral ground for it. And if that's what we want to do, we need to make a decision on that soon, because Kim is going to replace and renew the tables that are there. And so if there's going to be a barbecue there, then it would make sense to lay the concrete pad for the tables and the barbecues all at the same time. And then it's not going to cost us money for laying concrete. And so her estimate for a barbecue was $20,000. Hence it's on the agenda to talk about tonight. So thoughts, Shelley?
Actually, David, I really support that. I think it's a lovely idea.
Are you moving it, Shelley? Are you moving? Because I'll second it.
Hang on, I haven't finished lecturing yet.
Just do it.
No, that would be too good.
You've been so quick. And what made you so agreeable all of a sudden? No,
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think that is a lovely idea, and it's a lovely idea that the community board are doing it. And I'm not sure where you would want to put it, but I see lots of people going from Countdown, parking in Countdown, getting some groceries, whether they're passing through or Huntly people, getting their lunch and wandering over and having a bite to eat. And it's a really nice area, as long as it's not flooded. But I think that would be really nice. I see lots of people exercising their dog. I see people using it, using the Tumata Mahuta Reserve. I think that's a lovely idea. Yeah, I support that, David. I think that's good.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah. And they've made it clear we've got to spend our money. If we don't use it, we'll lose it.
Yeah, absolutely. Eden?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Also, there's CCTV around there, eh? So
exactly.
Can you make it vandal proof though? Like, how do other towns do it?
I don't know, but from what I can work out, it's a standard model that you kind of buy off the shelf and put in. And so the ones that are in Ngaruawahia around the point are the same ones that are in Tuakau, that are wherever they are in Tuakau and in Raglan. So I think they must have mastered it. Otherwise, they would have all been ripped out by now, because if they were costing an arm and a leg for the council to maintain, they'd just be taking them out. So, Ruby?
All for it.
All for it. Fantastic. Frank?
Yeah, it's the safest place to be.
Yeah.
You can keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Frank?
Yeah, it's got a few faults against it. I've seen them operate before. It's the mess they leave behind. The next fella in the line has to clean the damn thing. Also a health and safety issue with it. They've tried it before. The idea is good, but our type of population ain't going to work. Our one is quite happy to take KFC, McDonald's over there and eat that. They're not going to bring the whole family along for a picnic and light up the barbecue. And if they do, they walk away and leave it in a bloody mess like they've done everywhere else.
We could certainly ask for a rubbish.
I mean, my property backs
I
onto
think we put it
Tumata
to the
on People Drive. I know what goes on.
Okay. Well,
And
friends,
so I think if it works in other towns, you know, in our district, why won't it work for us?
How often does it get used?
we'll see.
I don't know, councillor. That's
No.
why.
Right,
Ngāruahi
check it
one's
out.
quite popular. Ngāruahi
Yeah.
one's quite popular. It also has a gazebo over it, which is something to consider in the future as well. But this is a good. I know that, like, I was flicking through my youth group report from a couple of years ago, where my girls, we went to Ngāruahi to the point, and we shared it with 2 other families, and they were asking the question, why doesn't Huntly have? And that was 2 years ago they're asking that. So you can say from then until now, it's definitely gathered more interest amongst the community. And it just sets the case, as long as we make it clear to the community that the plan is, this isn't the only one. The plan is to, you know, if you treat it well, we might get more.
Build on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're talking
So would you put it-
$20,000 of taxpayers' money, ratepayers' money, 20 grand. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, let's put it to a vote.
Feeds at KFC for that.
Would you put it down near the car park, or would you have it would be easier down closer to the car park, wouldn't it? So people
Yeah.
can sort of just,
It would go
Yeah.
close to the car
Close.
park where the tables are currently. Which,
and then
yeah.
Eden, if we were able to, we could put up a bit of some kind of gazebo that would just add an attraction to it. And you could see it coming over the bridge. You can see it driving down to Mata Mahuta. You can see
Yep.
it from the supermarket.
Yeah, it would be quite a good point of view. Like, you know, that's kind of the first thing you see as you pull into town as well. So
Yeah.
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 And
We
you,
like
you
that.
can maybe talk to Menshed about a gazebo, or Lions. Lions might come
Yeah.
to the party on something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm happy to move that, Mr.
Yep.
Chair.
I'll second it.
And Kim will second it. Democracy. Yes, you've got a question before we go to a vote.
So I'm just wanting to know, are you committing up to $20,000? I'm presuming that Kim has organised barbecues before, so she
Yes.
will be doing this. So
Yes, she
you're
will.
committing up to $20,000 in case it's
Yep.
less?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Okay. Yep. All in favour, please raise your hands so we can do the count. Yep. And against? Yep. So Frank's against.
Please record my vote against.
Will do.
So that's passed. And that be it for the year. We don't have any other.
One other thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was. Yes. Yep. Frank.
Could you touch base with me in the next couple of days? I've been approached by the stuff, or whatever you call them, Waikato Times, about a project in Huntly. It's good and bad, but I'd rather discuss it with you personally.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll come along to your work. Yeah. No
I've
worries.
got no time for stuff, as you know, but they ring me when they want to know something. I'll stir a bit of crap. And some's good, some's bad, and it might affect a few people that we don't want it to affect in Huntly. So
Okay.
there's a
To be
project
honest,
they want
Frank,
to do on Huntly. Yeah.
they're clickbait whores. So, you know,
So
They
if you
never
touch
used to
base with me, David, I'll discuss it and not on here. Yeah.
Yeah. Good idea.
can I
Not on
say
record.
something, David?
Yes. Just remember we are recorded.
Can I say something, David? I wanted the police to be there because my mum's got a very good friend that lives in Howard Street, and her name is Peggy Ridley, and she's about 88 years old, but she's amazing. And Howard Street's just off Webb Street, and it's not the greatest street, although she's got a lovely place. And her granddaughter is a neighbour, and they often have parties in the middle of the week. And a couple of weeks ago on a Wednesday night, 3 o'clock in the morning, they go over there and say, hey, quieten down, guys, you know, and they said, yeah, and then they didn't. So they phoned the noise control at Waikato District Council, and they said to them, we're not going there, it's a well-known gang pad, which is BS, it's not. And then, so they phoned the police, and the police said exactly the same thing to them. So I would like to know why that is the case, but I wanted to ask the police that.
Okay. I will give
You've
you.
been reading my mail, Kim.
And how many other people are getting that kind of feedback from people that just, have decided they don't want to come to any house in Huntly, you know. But I have to say, I would like to challenge the police over it. I've certainly spoken to a few individually when they've come and asked me to sign the odd search warrant, but yeah, I'm pretty disappointed. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't an out of control party. It wasn't like there was any violence. It was just his son goes to work and he was at his wit's end because he couldn't get any bloody sleep because he had the music too loud.
Yeah, especially in the
So
week.
it wasn't scary, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Howard Street is part of the conversation I'm going to have with David. That's part of stuff's into.
I will carbon copy in on the details I sent to Shelley. Eden next, then Shelley.
Oh, I was just going to say, I know that part of the call process when you call in a noise control complaint is they ask if they're gang, if it's gang related. And I don't know why, but people seem to think I will get more of a response if I say yes. Because I know my house, my old family house, has been reported as a gang house multiple times. And we've got no affiliation or anything. We just happen to sing really loudly because we're good at it.
Especially once you've had a few drinks, you're much better then. Yeah.
Much louder. Much louder. But I know that, I don't know if that's what's equating them to think that. But yeah, for some reason people think if I say the gang, then I'll get more of a response. But it actually backfires and makes them go, well, we can't go there without a police escort or something.
Eden,
like that.
she said it's my granddaughter. She said it's my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if
she didn't say it's my neighbour and I don't know her very well. She said it's my bloody 25-year-old granddaughter that won't turn off the stereo or turn it down.
Yeah.
So,
and I do wonder if you get an asterisk by your name as this property's got gang associations, then that asterisk stays through thick and thin, and then you're buggered. So
it's called cherry picking, in my view.
Yeah.
You'll see an accident and 5 cop cars will be there. Some poor person rings up and says, I'm getting robbed, and no one comes for days.
So would you rather discuss this when we're not recording?
Next year.
Or Councillor McAnally, did you want to bring up your subject when we've stopped recording?
Yeah.
Or was it private?
I'll have a one-on-one discussion with David. Some of it's a little bit toey, yeah. They want to do an article on places in Huntly, yeah. And I'm not having too much to do with it. I'll discuss that with David.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. No, that's
where I
cool.
am.
Yep. Anything else before we close out for the year? Yes, Eden?
I was just wondering if our lovely councillors have an update. I had an informal update, but if you have an update on the recycling plant thing.
No comment at this stage.
No comment at this stage.
Okay.
Right then. Okay. Fair enough. Well, thank you all for working hard. This Vanessa, yes? You're on mute, babe.
Finding it. There we go. I was just going to do a real quick update on the decision around the COVID-19 vaccine policies. So this morning, the staff policy was announced, which was full vaccination required for all employees, contractors, all that sort of thing. And I don't know if you want to do an update on the councillors' decision, which I think was yesterday. Councillor Lynch or McAnally, I'm not sure if you want to do an update on that, but
so Samantha is supposed to be getting in contact with the halls to let them know where they sit, whether they're a council facility or not. Kim, have you had contact for
not yet, but
Memorial Hall?
Shelley, she's been outstanding, so that I'm sure I'll hear from her in the next day or two.
It will be coming then, yeah.
just if anyone's not aware, the decision was vax passes were a requirement for all council facilities and sites as well. So that's, I guess it's basically full coverage in terms of requiring a vax pass.
So that means
I was a bit concerned about the pools because I had been approached by a couple of young mums who said that they were going to cancel their membership because Belgravia had put up, I think, I'm not 100% clear on this, but I think they put up something on a Facebook page saying that they were not going to require vaccine passes. But yesterday, council passed that they will be required to provide vaccine passes, and there'll be a security person at the door to check.
Sweet.
Okay. So be it. Is there anything else, Shelley, you'd like to update us with? Sorry,
I'm just trying to. That was quite. It was quite contentious and extremely well discussed yesterday by the councillors, and there were 3 who voted against the policy for their own reasons. But it is a contentious issue. We had quite a few approaches from Raglan. I only received your email, David.
Yep.
But you said that you were taking your chair's hat off and
Yes.
speaking from a personal view, so I couldn't give it the same consideration.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't asked for submissions on it, because this is a council decision, not for public submissions. So it was a little bit tricky. But yeah, but I can assure you there was full and heartful discussion on it. Yeah, before we came to a resolution.
Yeah, fair enough. I wouldn't have wanted to be in the room, really. I was quite pleased I was busy.
So David, just on that policy does cover community board meetings as well.
So does that mean in public, when we get back to meeting face to face, which I am looking forward to, any visitor who wants to be part of the visitor forum, they will need to show a pass?
Vaccine pass. Yep.
Okay, and as the chair, I will need to be
If
policing
you're
that?
if you're in a council facility, so if you have your meeting at the hub, you will have to ensure that either they have the same policy as council, or council staff or us councillors will not be able to participate.
Okay.
Well, I won't, because I've got an 84-year-old mother, and I won't put her at risk. So we're all vaxxed. I did it for her. She's 50 kilos dripping wet. If she got COVID, she'd be. And I'm just not taking the risk. So I want to know, and I want the certainty that is the case to any meetings that we go to.
So I'll be sending out notification tomorrow to all community boards. I'm just having the resolutions tidied up for what was passed yesterday, but it doesn't matter whether you hold your community board meeting or a public meeting in a council facility or even another hall. The policy goes with you and staff.
Okay.
Yep, that's good.
It makes sense. As much as I don't agree with the policy, it makes sense, and I'm double vaxxed, so it's a bit of a moot point for me. But okay, that's good. Thank you for that update. That brings clarity going forward. And for those who don't know, I'm doing a daily update for Huntly's numbers, and that's been very well received. Actually, I didn't realise people weren't getting it through the media, which makes sense. Once I was informed that people weren't getting an update, I thought, well, yeah, okay, I'll keep on doing this. So. It's been really nice with Gavin to support stuff. And I should say, for the record, since we are on the record, I was really, really impressed by Waikato District Council's response to requests made by me to get, bit of a long story, but we needed some fencing in to exclude us end of the road so people could self-isolate there in camper vans. And
Rafferty Lodge.
Yeah, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a nightmare, because I don't want to preempt anything, but council can take a while to do things. But they were really quick. They were really responsive. The woman who was in charge always rang me back to say where we were in the process and how the process was coming along. I was really, really impressed, and they really outshone the DHB. So that was a big win for me and a big win for the council. So yeah, so that's gone well. Yes, Eden?
Sorry, I forgot something. I had someone, I've talked to a couple of you about it, but I've had someone approach me about Huntly not being that very camper friendly, or like freedom camper friendly maybe. So started to have some talks around public dump station, as the only one we have is in the Hakanoa campground.
There's one up at Speedway too.
Yeah, but like a so the point that they made is, I think it's in Morrinsville, you just drive up on the side of the road.
Yep.
And you don't have to go into anyone else's facility or land or pay or anything. It's a public facility. So yeah, I've started to, I just floated the idea with a few from the parks and facilities team, and looked at the NZMCA, Motor Camper Van Association, and they contribute to the infrastructure costs of the actual unit. So and when I talked to Kim, she just said if it was an idea, it would be somewhere where there's already existing public toilets. So we talked about we didn't talk about Hakanoa because of the campground already there, WDC, you know. But at the Boaty Reserve, there's the toilets there, or there's at Pukatarini on either side. But
Pukatarinis are they're Sunny Dunnies.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
They're not connected.
That's right. They are too. So yeah. So she kind of suggested the Boaty Reserve, but I don't know. I just thought there's potential. My friend was very clear, like those that in the camper community are big spenders, whatever town they land in. And they frequent places that probably locals don't really frequent, that are like the quieter places. So she said that they'd be good for local economy, but also there's just extra eyes and ears around the place as well. So yeah, it's just something I thought.
Just a heads up though, Eden, because you know, I've been involved in tourism for a long time. Camper drivers were a curse 4 years ago. They were a curse. They came in, they left a mess, they didn't follow the rules. So that was when tourism was booming and the whole world was traveling. And so, you know, the assumption is that yes, at the moment that's a good thing, because you do need your camper vans to get some tourism through your communities. But if the world opens up and this curse goes away in a couple of years' time, then they'll probably be back to being a bloody nuisance. So you've got to spend your money wisely, and you might just have to ride stuff out a little bit. That's all I'm saying, because I do remember when we did the policy, and we've reviewed it a few years ago, we did it with managing the volume, because Raglan was getting overwhelmed and they were lining streets, and they were just, you know, we had to move them on every third day. And so they're fabulous when you need them, like now. But you know, there is a time when you get all the internationals coming in, driving up, parking anywhere, dumping their rubbish, using the roadside as a toilet. So there is kind of a fine kind of balance. I get at the moment they will be very valuable to anywhere.
Yeah.
Which would make the Boaty Reserve a good place, because it's actually not surrounded by residential. Well,
true.
But you know, it's further away. It's, you know, so you. Yeah, and the infrastructure is kind of there already.
That's probably right, actually. That is probably a good site.
Lots
of room.
Yeah, I just thought I'd have a look. I'll just do my thing and have a look through and see what's what. And yeah, then this is good. This is why I brought it up, just to get a good understanding of, you know, I don't know the backstory of things as well. So
You're doing great. Well, I'd all buy you a drink, but you know, that's all the moot point right now. So have a great Christmas.
Where's Councillor McAnally?
He eloped. No, that's the wrong word, isn't it? It's just the one that came to mind.
Disappeared into the ether.
Yeah. So, and no doubt I probably won't see many of you before Christmas. So have a great Christmas, have a great holiday. Hope you have a great break, and hope you see the whānau and get lots of love. So,
Lynette,
and you guys,
good luck going into the future, Lynette. It was lovely having you as the secretary. You've been brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very much.
Vanessa, I hope you have a good time with your family. You know, like, enjoy yourself over Christmas if you get a break.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Eden, Riwi, Gayleen, have a nice Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Catch you later.
Eat, drink, and don't fall over. Eden.
Yeah, because I've got a broken foot. I already fell over, so I can't fall over again.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't drunk.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.